All right, let's talk about the performance of individual players on the England team against Tunisia in our opening World Cup game. Again, we don't want to dwell on the negatives, but that's what we need to talk about, what needs to change, right? We've talked about who played particularly well. Which players, if any, do you think have harmed their case for being included against Panama?
Sterling, Maguire. Those are the two ones that I would focus on. I think other players may not have had their best game, but it was largely ineffectual. Sterling could not put a ball in the fucking goal. There is so much that he misses, and he has not got that composure in the penalty area to be able to deserve to be in that position. If you had Rashford in that position, we've spoken about before how Rashford is useful coming off the bench as that impact player versus what Sterling provides. But if Sterling can't put something in the goal when he's got such a clear-cut chance in the penalty area, then he doesn't deserve to be in the team. That's firstly. And secondly, Maguire. Like, Match of the Day have been raving about how Maguire had a great game. No, he was a defensive liability for England in the first half. His passing was poor. His positioning was poor. He gave away chances towards that Tunisia team, which should not have been there.
Why is it nonsense?
Well, he didn't give them a clear chance. He did one shoddy pass back to Pickford.
One-on-one.
He did a couple. Even Stones was playing shoddy pass at the start. I mean, they all were very nervous when the game started. He did bring the ball out a lot in the second half and was perhaps getting into attacking positions that he probably shouldn't have. I think it's very harsh on the base of one shoddy pass back to Pickford. They say he's had a bad game.
I don't know if it was one. He looked very nervous on the ball, I think. There were quite a few times where there was the one obvious pass that you're talking about, but there were a few times where he lost the ball cheaply. He won it back. It wasn't awful.
He didn't look under control. That's the problem.
That's right.
He did not look at ease on the pitch. And if you're playing Maguire as someone, yes, they played for Leicester, yes, they've gone through those things. But you look who you have in the rest of the squad. You've got Cahill, you've got Jones. Two players who played at the highest level of English football. They are used to the pressure of the various games before. Maguire, from that game, did not look like he was suited to playing.
I was at half time. I said to you, right? I said. We need to take off Maguire and bring on Cahill to stabilise this.
He got the assist for the winning goal.
I know he did, but that's not...
You can't criticise the guy when he's grew into the game.
No, I don't have a problem with... there's a legitimate question about when and if he should be going into attacking positions, right? But I don't have a problem with what he did when we were on the ball, particularly. My problem is he just seems a bit of a defensive liability. That was the sense you got throughout the first half.
What shots did they have from his mistakes?
Well, they didn't, but with one of the pass you're talking about, and there was another time as well when the only reason they didn't was one of them fell over. There was one that we were very lucky that they didn't have almost a one-on-one with the keeper because of a mistake he made. So it wasn't terrible, but it was a bit.
I mean,
it was uncomfortable.
I think.
Don't you think?
I think Walker was more of a liability today with the way that he handled the penalty. I mean, I know that it's suspected of him what his intentions were and that thing, but he's facing the goal where he should be at a diagonal position, facing away from the goal where he should just be able to head the ball. So, I mean, he's getting himself into mistakes that are actually costing his goals. I think it's very difficult just to pinpoint Maguire just because we have got nothing to slag off basically.
Very quickly on Sterling, Dugan's already talked about him, but what's your take on Sterling? Obviously, he got taken off eventually, but what do you think he was just lacking a bit of sharpness? Would you start him against Panama?
I think I'm quite ambivalent about him. I mean, he's had probably the best season of his career. He scored 20 plus goals for Manchester City. It is true that he does take 3 chances to get 1 goal, and his goal scoring record for England is something like 2 goals in 40 games, which for a forward player is
pretty bad.
It's pretty abysmal. But then again, I think Ali's only scored 2 goals for England. So again, we don't really have a goal scoring threat in terms of a good goals game ratio other than Kane. I mean, even Rashford's only got 3 goals in 20 caps. I believe a lot of them are from the bench. So I'd give him another go.
Yeah, I think I would start him. Would you?
I don't think you have anything to lose to starting against Panama.
Yeah.
I think you give... If England have a good first half against Panama, you probably play Sterling for the first half, Rashford for the second, and that is them competing for their shirt against that starting lineup against Belgium.
All right, lastly, on this segment, let's talk about the left side. Now, we disagreed about this before the game. You were saying that Ashley Young should play. I said that Danny Rose should play. I thought Young was poor at times. Like not.
But
not,
how was he poor?
Again, the same thing, losing the ball. He's not very good at set pieces either. We don't seem to have a very good.
I think that's the general. I think I don't think we have a set piece player.
Yeah.
Like Trippier was taking some of them.
Yeah.
You had Young taking the free kicks from slightly too close for Rashford. I would say when Rashford was on. But it does concern me that Young is the one who's taking those free kicks.
I think there's like a stigma attached to like fullbacks taking like corners and that sort of thing. I think Trippier is an excellent like deliverer of the ball. I mean, we scored from the corner. The second goal. I think he's always effective in getting into the area.
I thought Trippier had a good game.
It's very rare that his ball gets like cleared from the first man and that sort of thing. So I'm very happy for him to do that. Young, I think it's a problem that he doesn't cut back. You can see that he's tried to take first time crosses on his left foot today, but.
That was a big problem as well.
Young's standard thing throughout the years he's been playing, when he's been playing towards the left back, has been to go down, cut back onto his right and drive it in.
Yeah.
Now, I can only think that the reason why he's not doing that every time is that he's consciously been told, don't do it.
Well, also, you can't every time because sometimes you've got to take it on the
But
first
he's good
touch.
enough to do it, though. You look at him in the Premier League. He can cut back on his right foot.
Yeah, but you can't
9
do that
times
all
out
the
of 10.
time.
He can cut back. No, 9 times out of 10, Young can cut back onto his right foot, fool the defender, and put it in.
It's not a case of like the quality of his delivery. It's more a case of, I mean, it's a lot more difficult for a defender to defend when it's coming in first time. Whereas if he cuts back, they have a chance to pick up Kane, and Kane. It's more difficult for the striker.
So there were a couple of those poor crosses. You're right from Young from the left hand side in the second half. They just didn't get it done. Okay, so whistle went ages ago, but let's just to finish here in a word. Who would you switch in and out?
Sterling out and Maguire out.
And then in?
Rashford and Jones.
Okay, yeah, I would take out Maguire, I would take out Young, I would put in Cahill, and I would put in Rose.
I would rather send Phil Jones back to England than put him in the squad. Do you know what? I'd be tempted to play Fabian Delph
instead of
Ashley Young. I think at Ellen Road, he was probably.
So put Delph on the left.
Yes, I'll play him on the left. Right. If he's good enough for Guardiola, he's good enough for Armchair Fancast.
All right, interesting times. Well, let us know what you think about the personnel changes that England need to make against Panama in our second match.